400 years, the Jesuits have told their followers, give me a child until it is 7, and I will show you the man. For 400 years, they knew the secret. And that is what? First 7 years is programming, and then 95% of your life is the program. And since they're aware of that, what do you think they created? A programming mechanism called Catholic school. They control their students in the Catholic school, so no matter how old the students get in the program, they still have that religious bias built in, which is operating 95% of the time, whether they're paying attention or not. Today, the programming of children is more insidious. If you've ever seen an infant carrying around an iPad, an infant that can barely walk, now you've seen programming.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Your Superior Self. Today, I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Bruce Lipton. Thank you so much for taking the time.
I am so happy to be here because the audience you have is exactly what I'm looking for. People who want to take more power back in their lives, and especially in this time of crazy chaos on the planet, it's time for us to retain or recover our power. People didn't even know they were powerful, but the new science is revealing a whole new insight on how life works and how we can manifest it.
Sure. Before we get into it, because I know we have a lot that we want to cover, I want to know, how does Dr. Bruce Lipton walk through this life? How do you experience reality?
The simplest terms, I'm living a life of heaven on earth. I live my life. I'm happy to be here every day. I enjoy my life. For a guy who's just on the edge a couple of months from now of 80, I feel like when I was a kid, 80-year-old people were dead. So I'm kind of like, oh, wow, I'm still here. I'm going for it. And I just love being alive. And maybe at the end, we'll get people to understand that so many people are programmed to believe, well, if they have a good life, then we can go to heaven someplace else. And I would like to suggest maybe you were born into heaven and you didn't realize it, because this is a place of creation.
I love that 100%. Now, I wanted to have you back on the show. When I started reading Dr. Emoto's work, more about water, your work started making more sense to me. I'm assuming, because I think you speak at a couple of his events in the past.
Yes, I have.
Can you talk about that? Like, what is it about water and its form and its ability to hold information, right? Like it basically, like, the positive intentions makes an imprint on the water, but it doesn't change its molecular structure. Water has the ability to hold information. Can you talk about that and how important it is for us to understand that our environments are that important and how we interact with that?
Yeah. Well, most people see water as this liquid stuff that we drink and stuff like that. But then you've also seen it as well. It's ice. It could do that. And then you've also seen it as well. It's steam. And I say you can have 3 different kinds of organizations of these molecules. The significance is that when we're in an ice phase, the water is sort of locked into a crystalline structure. Well, people have not been aware that in the liquid stage, within that liquid stage, water does line up like in crystals, okay? And that water contains or carries information. I go, what's all that about? I go, look, why do the molecules line up? Because the water molecule has positive charge and negative charge. And positive and negatives interact in such ways attract each other. And so when 2 water molecules come together, there's a tendency for them to lock in, to hold on to each other so that they're sharing their charges right now. And they're not physical bonds like the physical world that we see with physical bonds, meaning there's positive and negative, and they anchor themselves and they lock themselves like that. What we're dealing with is something called the hydrogen bond. I go, what's that? It's like a lightning that goes between 2 atoms, and this electrical activity is going back and forth, just like lightning between them. And I go, so significance, and they're not physically touching each other as we think of when molecules come together. No, but they're communicating with each other because of the energy going from one to the other. Well, it turns out that in the water, the energy of the water molecule can actually pick up vibrational frequencies from the environment around it. But now we also recognize this, that when two molecules of water come into that hydrogen bonding, not physical, but that lightning, that they can transfer the information from one molecule to the other molecule. So all of a sudden, it's like they're not just isolated individual molecules, they're sharing information. So the water field is all sharing the same kind of environmental information together. If you put a signal into the water, it will propagate through the water, especially when you get those crystals that form even in the liquid phase. And so the idea is, does water have intelligence to it? I go, well, yes, it does. It can carry a vibrational frequency, but more than just carry it, it can share it through those hydrogen bonds where the electrical activity is going between the cells. And this makes a sort of like an amplification, but a community. Water is not a bunch of just isolated molecules. They're communicating with each other. And so information can be carried across water. And I say, well, who puts the information in? I say, well, there's an energy field. I say, energy field? What are you talking about? I go, well, all of us right now, wherever you're sitting, there's cell phone broadcasts, radio broadcasts, television broadcasts running right around your head, right around your body, right actually through your body right now. You're in an energy field. But water has a tendency to pick up those vibrations, different ones, and then carry them in the water and hold these vibrations. Now, I'll give you an example. In homeopathy, you put a drug molecule, let's say, into the water. Well, the drug has a vibrational frequency. I go, yeah. And guess what? Then the vibrational frequency is picked up by the water molecules, like copying the energy of the drug, copying, passing. I say, so why, what's the relevance of this? I go, well, in this way of creating information in homeopathy, I put the drug into the water. That causes the water to absorb the vibration of that drug. The information of that drug is a vibration. The water picks up this vibration. I go, so what? I said, well, if you keep diluting the solution, keep adding more water, there's a point where the original drug molecule doesn't even exist anymore. But the vibration of the drug molecule still exists. And that vibration of the information of the drug is being carried in that water and being passed to all the other water molecules in that area. So I say, oh my goodness, not only does it receive the information from the environment and hold on to it, but it passes that to the extent if you throw the drug out of the solution still has the energy and memory of the drug and works the same as the drug. So I now drink this water, and there's no real drug in it anymore, but the information of that drug is in it. So I am actually downloading the drug without a chemical basis. I'm downloading the energy of the drug.
Wow. That's so important because I think a lot of diseases and some of the sicknesses that we tend to get, right, is because of the environment, the stress, the anxiety that we feel, and we're walking into these areas unknowns to us, and we're exposing ourselves to these spaces. And I mean, you can walk into a room and feel the negativity in there, or the stress, or the anxiety, and it feels dense, right? Like walking around and
Yeah.
sometimes it's 3D reality. But having this information, right, knowing that your environment directly affects your body, like how do you walk through life now? Like how do you, Dr. Lipton, how do you walk through life when you know there's that negativity out there? How do you protect yourself from some of
Okay.
those influences?
Well, let's talk about energy for a second. And I say, what is energy? I say, well, it's a force. Okay, yeah, but what does it look like? I say, well, you can't see it because energy is invisible. I go, yeah, but I can show you what it would look like by what? Dropping a rock into a pond. The energy of the falling rock, called kinetic energy, is transitioned into the water. When the rock hits the water, the energy is now passed through the water. And remember, the energy is a force. Well, the force takes the water and turns it into waves. Okay, the ripples. When you drop a rock into the water, you get all these ripples. I go, the ripples are actually the shape of the energy that came from the falling rock, because the energy, you can't see it, but since it has a force, it forces the water to conform to the shape of the energy. So energy comes in ripples and waves. Okay, so that's number one. But number two, let's say I drop two rocks into the pond at the same time. Well, both ripples are coming toward each other. Okay. And I say, well, what happens when the ripples from one rock, the energy, and the ripples from the other rock, the energy, when they come together where the ripples meet? I say, well, you take the waves, and if the waves are in harmony, I mean, they're in phase. Both ripples are going up, both ripples are going down, both ripples are going up, both ripples are going down. When those in phase waves come together, the value of the waves, and I said, what value? Let's start right here. The height of the wave is power. The shape of the wave is energy. The height of the wave is power. Small little rock dropped in the water, you get a little tiny wave, okay? Drop a giant rock in the water and you get giant waves. So the height of the ripple is power. Now, why I'm bringing this in, I have two ripples coming toward each other, the same, because they're the same size rocks dropped at the same height at the same time. So I have two equal waves coming together. I said, well, what happens when two waves in harmony come together? They add up the value of the power. So two small waves can come together, but where they meet, the wave gets bigger. So this is called an interference. Wave A interference with wave B, but it's called constructive interference because the result of the two harmonious waves make a wave bigger than either of the two original waves. So it's called constructive interference. The waves are interfering, but when they do, they add up a higher wave. Now, people go, oh, that's a really nice science there. What the hell does that mean? Well, we feel things, we feel energy. And you can feel when an energy around you has the same harmony as you have, because you'll get a boost in your energy from constructive interference. And so I say, oh, yeah, those are the technical words, but let me give the words that people use every day. And those words are good vibes. What does that mean? Well, I met this person, and as soon as I met them, I felt more power. I felt, oh God, I feel, more energized. Well, you can have good waves from food. You can have good waves from an environment around you. You can have good waves from a pet. You can have good waves from another person. I say, so that all the objects in the universe make waves. And if you have objects around you with the same waves that you are, that means when they come together, they're going to add up and give you more power, good vibes. Okay. Love is the ultimate of two waves coming together. That means the maximum output. When two harmonious waves come together, love is the one with the highest waves that come out of it, the amplitude, the height of the wave. So we call that good vibes, okay? Let's just add this little block and then it'll make sense. Life is based on energy. The more energy you have, the more life you have. The less energy you have, the less life you have. If you lose your energy, you have no life. So point of good vibes is it's telling you that where you are and what you're doing at any moment when you're feeling those good vibes is that you're in harmony with what's going on around you, okay? But then I said, wait a minute, same experiment of dropping the rocks in, but here's what's different. I drop out of the two rocks, I drop one before I drop the other one. I said, what's the difference? Well, the ripple on this one is going up, but the ripple on this one's going down. When this one's going down, this one's going up. They're out of phase. Okay. I said, well, what happens when they come together? I said, well, when you have two overlapping waves out of phase come together, they cancel each other out. Because one wave was going up, the other wave was going down. Boom, put them together, zero. So basically, this is called interference, but it's called destructive interference. It didn't make the waves bigger. It could actually cancel the waves, okay? Well, that means you cancel the energy. I go, yeah. And so I say, then two kinds of energies can come together. The harmonious energies add up, make you more energy. The out of phase energies, when they come together, cancel energy, no energy. That's the two range. Maximum energy, least energy, based on the harmony of the waves. I go, well, What happens when the waves are being canceled? I said, we experience that, but we call it bad vibes. Bad vibes are you're in a place that you don't feel secure, and all of a sudden you feel weak. I said, what's the weakness? A loss of energy. I said, what's happening? The energy around you is not in harmony with you. And as a result, you lost your energy. So bad vibes comes from that. Okay. Well, love gives you the highest energy of interaction. It's not hate, but it's fear that causes the energy to collapse. So you're in love or you're in fear. Those are the two extremes of the interaction. Okay. So
Mhm.
basically, look, even the Asians have known this for a few thousand years. I go, what do you mean? Well, they do something called feng shui. It was feng shui. They show you how to put objects in each object in this universe from quantum physics knowledge gives off energy. So how you position objects and which objects you position make a crystal of energy. So feng shui was a science of how to put the objects, which objects, how to put them in the right place to do what? Match your energy. I go, what do you mean if you match my energy? Say, oh, then the environment is giving the same waves that I have. So if I match the environmental energy to my energy, then when I walk into that environment, I feel good. I feel empowered. Well, hey, look, everything in your house, from the furniture to the stuff you put on the walls, every physical thing gives off energy. What does that mean? Well, you decorated your house. You put everything in there the way you wanted it. You didn't just put it because, hey, just stick that picture on the wall and put that piece of furniture over there. No, it fit a design. Well, you didn't know it. You were creating your own feng shui by putting your stuff in a pattern into your place, in your environment. You are setting up an energy field, which is coming to your body, that's picked up by the fluids of your body, as well as by the cells, which then store this energy and bring it together and allow you to use that energy. So when you go home at night, if you decorated your place the way you wanted it,
No, my wife's done that for me.
well, hopefully, when you met your wife, she was of nearly the same vibration that you are. So if it's good for her, it's good for you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so the basic line is this is why you feel comfortable in your own place when you sit in it, because you unconsciously didn't know about the energy. You just did it by feelings. Feelings are the body's response to energy. And it's interesting because when we were young, most of us were programmed, oh, don't go by your feelings. Listen to what this person has to say. I go, you lost your power,
Hmm.
because the first communication of the most primitive organisms on this planet, all the way up to the top, the first communication level is energy. Why? Energy is life. And so we are designed to read energy at the, the necessity of keeping alive. And that's why I said that's what the difference between good vibes says, I should do this because it gives me energy, versus bad vibes, which says, boy, I shouldn't do that one because it cancels my energy. But you have to pay attention to the vibes. And the vibes are energy. And in human life, that energy is life. So, what are we seeking? More and more energy. The more energy you have, the more power you have in your life. And whether we seek out objects like the furniture, the pictures on the wall, or we seek out an organism like a pet, or some plants that you like, or the fish in the fishbowl that you picked out to put in there, all of these things you didn't realize you were decorating your environment with things that enhance your vitality, because that is, we're driven to live, and therefore we're driven to get more energy at this point. And this becomes really critical, because your thoughts are really the source of this energy, because your brain is taking a thought and turning it into a vibration. You go, oh, yeah, I could read your thoughts. I put wires on your head. It's called the electroencephalograph. I'm reading your brain thoughts in here. And we always say, oh, yeah, my thoughts are in my head. But there's a newer device that reads brain activity, and the probe is out here, and it reads your brain activity. Well, how the heck can it read your brain activity out here? And the answer is because we broadcast our vibrations. We broadcast our brain energy. I go, so what? I said, well, if you're in a field and you're broadcasting an energy, then you're, by definition, the ripples that are involved with the ripples of everything else around you, and your ripples and those around you, when they're in harmony, that's when you got the extra energy, or when they're in disharmony is when you lose that energy. And so it's all of a sudden you realize you and the environment are actually collectively manifesting your life experiences. If you're in the right environment, you feel good, healthy, happy, and things go really interestingly your way. When you're in the wrong environment, you're not paying attention and you're losing your energy, and this is causing illness. I go, well, wait a minute. I thought illness was caused by genes. Ah, boy, did you get fooled. Why? Less than 1% of all the illness on this planet is connected to genes. And you go, and where the hell's all the illness? Because we're in a healthcare crisis. And I go, it's the field, the energy around us, and how we respond to it that determines our health, our vitality. Okay. So the basic understanding is then more than 90% of illness on this planet has nothing to do with your genetics and your biology. It has everything to do with the energy field that's either coming from your head or the ones that are coming from the outside in, that determine your life and your health. And I say this becomes important only because of this. If genes controlled your life, you have no control, because you were told that genes turn on and off by themselves, meaning they engage the behaviors and the functions without you having any input. Your life is then controlled by these genes, and that's what we were teaching in medical school years ago, called genetic determinism. Genes determine the character and quality of your life, and everybody bought into that. And I said, you lost your power. And what do you mean? Because now you're saying, I don't control my life. My genes control my life. Then I tell you you have a cancer gene. Then what happens? Your belief, thoughts, energy of the cancer, the belief that you could have that cancer, the energy broadcast, not just affects your head here, but your thoughts are affecting everything in your body below. So a thought of cancer causes cancer. You ready for this one? There's not one gene that causes cancer. There's no gene. I have this gene, I automatically get cancer. It's usually living out of harmony and things like fear that cause cancer. And this is why so many women have trouble with the breast cancer gene, because they go for an assessment and they say, oh, you have the breast cancer gene, the BRCA gene. And then all of a sudden I say, what's the picture in their mind? Oh my God, a picture of cancer. I said, well, the vibration of that picture will manifest the cancer. It's the image you're manifesting, okay? So the point about that is what people don't ever respond to is simply this. We call these things cancer genes. And I say, the breast cancer gene, BRCA gene. I say, oh, breast cancer gene, if I have that gene, do I get the cancer? Well, most people believe they will because they've been programmed that the gene did this. Well, this is 100% false. Why? Well, let's say half the women with breast cancer gene don't get breast cancer. I said, well, wait, they have the gene. Why didn't they get the breast cancer? And the answer is because the gene doesn't cause breast cancer. The gene responds to the environmental energy to shape the action of the gene. And that can cause cancer, even if you don't have an oncogene. You can get cancer, and we find that 90% of cancer. There was no lineage of cancer in the family; it just showed up. Just showed up. How? Because that individual, they didn't get a gene; they got a lifestyle that was with bad energy that canceled their energy. And in fact, that cancellation of the energy is what brings on the diseases in our lives. So all of a sudden I said, well, then what do you need to do, man? You got to go find where the energy is best. And then you stick with that. Read the energy. Because we've been programmed, as I said, not to pay attention to the energy. I said, that is the first communication of life on this planet. It wasn't vision, it was no other signal than the vibration in the energy field. That's the first reception, and still the most important reception, because it tells us about our vitality or our viability. Are we going to make it, or are we getting sick? And I said, what's your energy level? Can I add just one more thing? I know that
Sure. Yeah.
conversation might be inhibited a little bit because I want to keep saying this, because I think it's a really important thing. And basically, then it says that we have to be careful of our thoughts, because our thoughts are energy, and these energies can turn on a gene or turn off a gene. And that's a new science called epigenetics. I said, epigenetics? It's like, I learned genetics. I say, what's genetics? Genes control my life. I go, new science, epigenetics. He said, it sounds almost the same. What the hell's the difference? I go, epi means above. So I say, like, we call skin epidermis. I say, why? Because just below the skin is a layer called dermis, and we're skin above the dermis, so it's called epidermis, epi above. So when I say epigenetic control, it translates as control above the genes. I go, wait a minute. The genes are not turning it off on and off by themselves. I go, nope, they can't do that. Genes are blueprints, just like in an architect's office. Go into an architect's office and she's working on a blueprint, and you ask the architect, hey, is your blueprint on or off? And then she would look at you and go, what are you, crazy? It's a blueprint. There's no on and off. Why? A gene is exactly a blueprint. Its design is to make proteins. It's a blueprint to make a protein. I go, significance. A gene cannot be on or off. A gene is just information. Now, you could read the information or not read the information. Well, that's where the mind comes in. And all of a sudden I said, well, then you're not being controlled by genes. You're controlled by the beliefs or the vibration that are in your mind. You change your belief, change the vibration, you change your genetic activity. That takes us from the old belief, genes control my life, genetic determinism, you're a victim, to the new belief, epigenetics, that says, I'm the one that's sending the signal. Ha! Well, then I can change the signal. I go, ha! And I go, so what does that mean? I said, well, then you are the master of your genes, not the victim. This is the wake-up call that people have to recognize. The genes aren't causing diseases. It's the architect called the mind that handles those gene blueprints that determines the outcome.
Yes. And I think that's so important to understand, because a lot of your discourse nowadays is around programming. From 0 to 7, we experience programming from our environments, and that plays a huge factor in our future lives in early adulthood and mid adulthood, adult. Because we're feeling that fear, right? Like when we go against some of the programs, right? We start feeling that fear. When I want to express who I am, my authentic self, I may bump up against fear, because I'm going against what my parents may have said was the standard, right? Or religion has says is the standard. I mean, a lot of the new exploration in spirituality is going against the paradigm of a big religion and big institution.
Yeah, which is
empowering ourselves, right?
Yeah, and it's a great thing, because we were disempowered by the beliefs that were programmed into us. The example for is the belief of genetic determinism. You've been programmed with your awareness education that you have no power in controlling your life because the genes do. And then you gave up. Well, I'm a victim. I can't control these genes. The moment you think you're a victim is the moment you recognize you're powerless. But if you're powerless, then guess what you're going to do? Where can I find the power? Who can help me? I'm a powerless genetic. I need somebody to help me. I go, pharmaceutical company, substances will fix you. And all of a sudden, then guess what? You are now a customer. And that's exactly how it works. And people always think, oh, yeah, thank God for the pharmaceutical industry. I'll tell you what, 300,000 people die every year in the U.S. from what? Prescription drugs. Less than 100,000 die from illegal drugs. But we have a war on the illegal drugs. I said, but 3 times as many people die from the prescription drugs. I say, There's no war on that. Matter of fact, they just write it off. Called, well, that's the cost of doing medicine. I go, that's a damn expensive charge for doing the medicine for sure.
Yeah, well, I want to know, right? It's funny because the programs we wear masks all day, every day. I wear masks because I'm built to believe that society wants me to behave in a certain way. Uh, um,
Sorry.
and no, it's fine. I'm still recognizing that, and I'm still bumping up against those fears and try to be the most authentic self. Like I'm still trying to figure out like who is Trey? Like what are my likes and dislikes? Like what is my philosophy on life? What is my philosophy on spirituality? Because we're so influenced on in so many different aspects of our lives. I mean, I can turn on YouTube and listen to a show like this, and then I can listen to 100 channelers and 100 mediums and 100 mystics, and they all say different things, and it's like everyone has a different truth. How have you, Bruce? Like, how have you found your own truth? Is it from going within and asking those questions at a deeper level?
No, actually, I'm a scientist, and this is an important moment here. Just I got to say this because audience get very confused when something doesn't work right. Oh, the COVID story and all that stuff. Oh, the science did this. I go, no, science didn't do that. Science doesn't make a product. Science only offers awareness. Anybody who takes that awareness and then makes it into a product is called a technologist. The drug companies are not scientists, they're technology people. They use the awareness of science and then try to make a product out of it. When the product doesn't work, then science gets a bad rap. And I go, no, science never made a product. So don't confuse science with products. It doesn't work that way, okay? So I'm a scientist. I'm not telling the cell how it does it. You know, I'm asking the cell about, wow, how does it work? So I watch cells and I do experiments to alter the environment, see how the cell makes a response. And by doing this, I start to recognize how the behavior is influenced in cells. Okay. So one of the things I recognize is, and this will be the simplest way of looking at it, the cell is an information processor. I go, what's that? Well, computer, if you want another word for it. And I go, why? It takes environmental signals, puts it into the machine, and then produces an outcome called behavior. Input, output, signals coming in, behavior coming out. Okay. So technically, the brain is the most advanced computer system humans have ever experienced. There are attempts to reproduce the brain in technology. It doesn't work at all, really. It comes close and does some nice things. AI is really wonderful, but it couldn't control a human. And so basically, the brain of the human is a computer. That's what's controlling. I go, yeah, but now this brings up the issue we're talking about. I say, in the old days, you buy a brand new computer, you bring it home, push start, the screen boots up, and they say, ready to go. Screen's up, screen's booted up. And I say, you just bought this new computer, and now I say, do something with it. And you go, I can't. I said, well, you just bought a brand new computer. Oh, first I have to put programs into the hard drive. Then I could access the programs with typing on the keyboard and adding what I want to the computer. So before you can use the computer, you have to put programs in. Well, this works in the human brain. When a child is born, actually 3 months before the child is born, the screen lights up. The brain is booted. Yeah, but then I can't use it until what? Programs come in. So nature has created the first 7 years of a child's life as downloading programs. Programs of what? How to be a member of a family, how to be a member of a community. Why? There are thousands of rules. You can't do whatever the hell you want. You have to conform. So how do I know what conforming is? I say, well, first you observe what's going on. But in the first 7 years, it's more than observing because it's like a video recorder, your brain now. It observes what's going on, downloads the observations as behaviors. Okay. And I go, oh, so then the subconscious mind is the equivalent of a hard drive. I go, yeah, that's where programs called habits. That's what a program is, a habit. Okay. And I go, so what? I go, for the first 7 years of your life, your brain is operating below the level of consciousness predominantly at a lower vibration called theta, which is hypnosis. Ah, how'd you get your programs? All you had to do was watch. Watch your mother, watch your father, your sibling, watch your community. Because as you're watching them, you're downloading behavior. I go, yeah, who are you downloading behavior from? Other people. I go, so why is that important? I say, do they have your wishes and desires in mind? I go, not necessarily. Well, then the programs you download for them may not take you to your wishes and desires. In fact, matter of fact, most of them won't. 60% or more of the things you downloaded by observing others in your first 7 years, 60% or more represent programs that are disempowering, self-sabotaging, or limiting beliefs. So I say, well, our computer booted up in the last trimester, and for that 3 months before you're born, in the next 7 years, you were in a process of observing the world and downloading behaviors as programs in your subconscious mind. There's nobody in the subconscious mind. People got to know that. Subconscious mind's just hard drive programs. Push the button, play the program. Habit. Push the button, play it 1,000 times, play it 1,000,000 times. And we used to think, well, that subconscious mind, Freud gave us the idea it's got evil, that evil, all the bad things are in the subconscious mind. I go, no, you got that wrong. I would ask you a very simple question. Is the hard drive in your computer right now, is that evil? No, it's not. Why? Because if you put good programs in it, guess what? It does everything you want it to do. You put a bad program in there and it's all screwed up, okay? And so the issue about it is simply this. What are you downloading? What have you downloaded in regard to who you are and how you live? You get these programs into your subconscious by others, okay? I'll come back to that in a second. But then I say, yeah, but after age 7, you are given that higher vibration in the brain called consciousness. I go, what's that? Oh, well, that's where you, as an entity, type on the keyboard of your brain and put your wishes and desires into that program. And that's how you can manifest wishes and desires. But then I go, well, that's true because that's the conscious mind and that can do it. But the subconscious mind's got programs, and most of those you didn't even put in there, okay? So I go, so what? I go, and here's the problem the world's facing. 95% of our behavior is not coming from the conscious mind, the mind with wishes and desires. It's coming from the hard drive programs. So if you had good programs in your hard drive, then your life is pretty damn easy. If you got bad programs in your hard drive, then life is going to be continuously a struggle. Why? 95% of your life is coming from those programs. Reason is very simple. I could operate from the conscious mind, creative wishes and desires, which is the things I want in my life, okay? But the issue is, and here's the monkey wrench that the world needs to understand, this one monkey wrench now, and that is this. The conscious mind, when it's in control, is manifesting behavior that enhances wishes and desires, okay? But the conscious mind can think. What does that mean? I say, consider your body a vehicle, and your eyes are looking out the windshield. When the conscious mind is driving the vehicle, it's going to drive you toward wishes and desires wherever you want. It's going to go that way, okay? But the conscious mind can think, and there's the monkey wrench. I say, what do you mean? Well, thinking is not looking out with the mind. Thinking is looking in. And if I ask you right now, I say, tell me what you're doing on Thursday. And it may not be written in front of you at this moment, which I don't believe it would be, but within a very short time, you can say, oh, on Thursday, I'm going to do this and this and this. I said, where'd you find that answer? And the result was, I thought about what I was doing on Thursday. I said, thought, think. I say, why is that? What's the significance? Thinking is not on the outside. Thinking is on the inside. So conscious mind could look out your eyes, the windshield, and drive you toward wherever the heck you want to go. But if you're thinking, then conscious mind is no longer looking out the eyes. It's looking inside for answers to a thought. Okay? I go, so now true story. You're driving the car and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go to the store. And then when I go to the store, I'm going to get this and I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. I say, while you were contemplating all those things, Guess what? You weren't looking out your eyes. You weren't even seeing what was on the road. And I go, why? Because conscious mind was not directed outward. Now it was directed inside. And I say, wait a minute, I'm driving a car and I'm not paying attention? I go, yeah, but here's the cool part. Subconscious is autopilot. When the conscious mind is busy, the subconscious mind steps in and takes care of the whatever's needed. Well, driving a car, that's a habit. I say, why? Because you practice. I say, well, where are habits? In the subconscious mind. So I say, then guess what? You were thinking about all the things in the store and wherever you wanted to go. You didn't see what was on the road. Why? You weren't looking out. But then who was driving the car? I go, the subconscious program mind, it's 1,000,000 times more powerful, the computer, than the conscious mind. It's much better to drive the car with the subconscious mind because it can see more details than the conscious mind can contemplate. So I go, so what? Well, the science reveals it's only 5% of the day are we looking out through our eyes into the world and guiding where we want to go. 95% of the day is the amount of thinking. I go, well, then 95% of the day is the program that you're playing. Why is it a monkey wrench? And the answer is this. First of all, where did the program come from? Not from you. Okay, where? Well, you get it from whoever your teachers were, parents, family, community, okay? And then I say, what? Why is that relevant? And I say, because when you were thinking, these programs that are put in there by others, which may be self-sabotaging, let's say, I say, then when you're playing these programs out of the hard drive, do you see these programs? And the answer is absolutely not. I said, why not? I said, because you're paying attention on the inside. So whatever's coming out from the program, you're the one that can't see it, but everybody else does. So if you have a negative program and you start thinking, and the subconscious mind takes over autopilot and starts manifesting the behavior of a negative program, do you think you're going to have a positive response? The answer is no. You're going to get a negative response. But then guess what? And here's again the wrench. Why? Because you see that your wishes aren't manifesting. And then therefore you feel like you're a victim. I have wishes to be healthy, wealthy, happy. It's not working. It's those people out there that must be interfering because I'm the one that wants all the good stuff. And then I go, well, yeah, your conscious mind wants all the good stuff. The subconscious is going to play whatever the hell program you got. So very simply, as a kid, we look at our parents primarily as the first teachers and listen and observe and download their behavior. Well, my mother and father had a very dysfunctional relationship, and I'm a kid in that family. What do you think when I was watching my father, do you think I was downloading good behavior for a relationship? I said, no, I downloaded my father's behavior, dysfunctional. I said, then what? Well, since 95% of my life comes from that subconscious, for over 40 years, I couldn't get a relationship going. Why? I didn't see the behavior that was coming out. And that behavior was conflicting with relationships. And I was struggling with that. Until what? I recognized, oh my God, my program is preventing me from getting that success. And then with an opportunity to rewrite the program, which I did, I changed the program instead of living a stressful life to having a heaven on earth life. And guess what? I have now for 28 years with my partner, heaven on earth. I even wrote a book called The Honeymoon Effect. Why? I couldn't get a relationship for over 40 years. Now I have 28 years in a row of every day waking up into this honeymoon. And I want people just to say, most people have seen a movie called The Matrix. And I go, yeah, well, what about The Matrix? I go, well, presumably it's recognized as science fiction. I go, no, that's the problem. The Matrix is a documentary. What do you mean? I said, what's the premise? Premise is we were all programmed. I go, well, that's not a premise. That's a reality. Everybody's been programmed for 7 years. I go, great. And I say, so that premise is not science fiction. That's real. Then they talk about you can take a red pill and you can get out of the program. I go, whoa. Wow, red pill. And I'm going to say almost everybody out there listening at this very moment has taken that red pill at one point and their life changed within 24 hours. I go, when? When you fall in love, you stop thinking. You stay what is called mindful. You stay present. For simple reasons, this: you're waiting for this person to come in your life. They come in. Is this a time to disappear, go in your head? And no, this is the time to be here with that person. You stop thinking. I say, well, then what happens? Then you stop playing the program. And then I say, well, if you're not playing the program, then what's controlling your life? I go, now the conscious mind, not the subconscious. The conscious mind controls. I say, but that's the one with wishes and desires. I go, aha! Your life was blah, 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 program, blah, 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 blah. You meet this person, 24 hours later, you go, oh man, I'm so in love. Oh, I love my life. The food's great. The music's great. The sex is beyond definition here. Everything is great. I'm living what is called what? The honeymoon. I said, what's the honeymoon? That was your creation. You created that. I said, well, what is the honeymoon? Heaven on earth. I go, wait a minute. I thought life on this planet was terrible because all the war, the chaos, the falling apart, and all this stuff. I go, yeah, but in the midst of all that, all you had to do is not play the program and take that red pill, which love is now recognized by science as the red pill. Why? Love stops you from thinking at that moment. Well, if you're not thinking, then your life is not controlled by programs. Now it's controlled by the conscious mind. Wishes and desires. What did you create 24 hours after you met this person? No program. Now you created what? Heaven on earth. I go, you know what's interesting? Heaven on earth was always here. It was your program that took you away from it. The moment you stopped playing the program, boom, you were the creator. I said, that's our natural state of affairs. We are the creator. But if you have programs and they operate 95% of the day, then you're not living your wishes and desires. You are living your program. And I said, that's where, all the problems come from, because bad programming, like my father's dysfunctional behavior, I downloaded bad programming. I couldn't get that relationship off the ground. Okay. So basically, the programs get in the way, and the programs have been designed to disempower us. Like, why? Because if you have no power, you're powerless, you're a victim. If you're a victim, you will pay anybody whatever you can to not be a victim. Okay? My health isn't good. I'll pay the pharmaceutical company whatever they want for that drug. And now they keep raising the prices. Guess what? Now a lot of people can't even afford the drug. So they're in a serious problem. I said, why? Because they were hoping for the drug to overcome the problem. I said, the drug, it actually, what it does, it just activates a function of cell that you activate on your own. I said, let me just explain it because I don't want it to sound new agey here. On the surface of the cell, the skin, there are things called receptors which read environmental signals. Well, you're like a cell. On the surface of my skin, eyes, ears, nose, taste, touch, temperature, pressure, all these things, feelings on the inside. These are the things that I'm reading, okay? And so the relevance about all this then comes down to the fact that the cell, like us, reads the environmental signals and then adjusts its behavior, okay? But your mind is the filter. Is it going to show you the really good things out there? Or is it going to show you the negative things out there? And I say, well, then that's based on your program. Are you looking for the good things, or are you afraid and now looking for the bad thing? I go, why? Well, that's two different responses to the same world. If I'm looking for the good things, I'm on my track for heaven on earth. If I'm looking for the bad things, I'm in a state of self-destruction, because what do you think I'm going to find? If I'm looking for the bad thing, by definition, I'm not even looking for the good thing. I'm looking for the thing that scares me. I'm looking for the things that's going to threaten me, take away my power. I go, aha. You know who took away your power? The people that knew they could take away your power. I say, what? Because they can program you. Okay. And I go, oh, come on, that sounds new agey again. I go, for 100 years, the Jesuits have told their followers, Give me a child until it is 7, and I will show you the man. I go, oh my God. For 400 years, they knew the secret. And that is what? First 7 years is programming, and then 95% of your life is the program. And since they are aware of that, what do you think they created? A programming mechanism called Catholic school. Okay? And then they control their students in the Catholic school. So no matter how old the students get in the program, they still have that religious bias built in, which is operating 95% of the time, whether they're paying attention or not. And I go, that was 400 years ago. Today, the programming of children is more insidious. I go, what do you mean? Well, if you've ever seen an infant carrying around an iPad, an infant that can barely walk, carrying an iPad and touch screen and doing something, I said, now you've seen programming. And the reason is, why should somebody program me? And the answer, again, is not what you want to hear, but I'll tell you what it is because I can program you and take away your power. And if I do that, then you become the victim and I become the master. And you say, well, look at how powerful some people are. I go, they're no more powerful than you. But no, see what they have and what I don't have. I say, no, well, you are powerful, but guess what? You're programmed not to be powerful, because that's how the other people made all the money. You know, how the drug company make all the money, because you're afraid. And that if you're afraid, you will pay the drug company whatever the hell they want to fix you. Whenever that happens, you have to recognize this. I love it because people think they don't get it, but I'll tell you, if a drug works, it works because on the cells in your body, there are things called receptors that read that signal of the drug. Okay. So when you take a drug, there's a receptor, and that drug connects to the receptor, and that engages the function. I go, so what? I go, God did not put the receptors on your surface waiting for the drug company to make the signal. I go, if you have a receptor that responds to a signal, then you must own a simple truth. You already make that drug. And that your drug is what's supposed to go to that receptor. And I say, but it's not going there. Then you say, oh, system broken. I will give you that signal via drug. I go, well, how much is the system broken? Well, less than 1% is due to genetics. 90, over 90 to 99% is actually due to the lifestyle, which is the programming. So I go, so why? We want to fix the body when there was nothing wrong with the body. It was just following the program, not a good program, and as a result, not a good response. And you want to take a drug because you want to compensate for the bad programming. I go, it's not very efficient. And matter of fact, it's not very effective. 300,000 people in the U.S. die every year from these prescription drugs. And I go, oh, that's interesting, because less than 100,000 die from illegal drugs. And legal drugs, we got a war. Let's get rid of those illegal drugs. And then I say, yeah, but 300,000 are dying from the prescriptions. And we don't do anything about it because they say, well, don't focus on that. That's the cost of doing medicine. I go, the cost of doing medicine is too damn expensive. And the reality, but you bought the belief. You were programmed as a kid. Most people's families, if somebody got sick in the family, where did they go? They went to the doctor. So in the first 7 years of a child's life, what does the kid learn? When I'm sick, I go to the doctor. I go, so why? What is the meaning of what I just said? Well, if I'm sick, I'm a victim. And I go to the doctor because the doctor can fix me. I go, you lost your power. Why? You were the one you're the one that caused the disease. You're the one that can change the disease, but you don't believe it. So you gave up the power to heal yourself because your program says that's not in your domain. The guy that heals is that doctor. And then they become your programmer. And I go, guess what? You can get a good program, but most people get a bad program, meaning prognosis. I go, what does that mean? Oh, the doctor says you got 3 months left to live. Go home, take care of your affairs. You got 3 months left to live. I go, that's the belief that you picked up from the doctor. and you put it now into your head because you say, I don't know about my health, but that guy, they know about my health. They know truth. I don't. So when you take the prognosis as true, you put it in your head, and the consciousness interpreting that prognosis generates the reality of that prognosis. That was what was on your mind. That's what you generated. So it shows lots of people presumably told they were going to die of cancer in a few months. When they did die and they did an autopsy, there wasn't cancer that killed them. There wasn't usually not enough cancer to do that at all. And they
Wow.
said, well, what killed them? And the answer is they believed they were going to die.
The belief.
The power of belief.
We're reinforced to forget who we are, essentially.
We are because at the the behest of the programmer, who then takes the rewards by saying, I can fix you. You see, first I make you a victim, then I sell you how to get out of being a victim. And that's the name of the game.
Can I ask you a question? And
Yeah.
this might be a little personal. Like, so what do you do now? Like, as you get older, what do you do for yourself as far as like if you catch a virus or get sick, or do you go to the doctors at all? How do you heal yourself?
I don't have a doctor really. I did have a physical problem where I hurt myself. Yeah, I went to a doctor because they're mechanics and they're good at that. But I don't go to a doctor and take drugs. I don't take any pharmaceutical drugs. I go, why? I make the pharmaceutical drugs. I just have to have my head say, okay, don't wait to go to the pharmacy. Fix it now. I can fix it now. So do I go to a doctor? No. If I get physically injured, yes, I'll go to a doctor because that's just like take your car to the repair station. They can put a new part in there or whatever. That's great. But taking a pharmaceutical drug, I don't trust those guys for nothing, man, because they're not out for me. They're out for them. They make the money on my presumed weakness. The more they make me believe I am weak, the more money they make. And that's the name of the game.
Sure.
So nope, not a lot of illness, and I'm just going to be 80 in a couple of months here, and I'm going, I don't want to slow down. Why? A lot of people, what the biggest problem of aging is? Oh, I'm too old to do that. I go, jeez, don't say that. Because the moment you said that, the broadcast says, I can't do this. I go, yeah, but the broadcast manifests a life. So as soon as you say, I can't do it, now you can't.
Mhm.
And I don't want to say that. Why? I love living on this planet. Not that my first 40 years gave me that encouragement because my success as a relationship failed. But ever since I rewrote the program of that and living a honeymoon every day, I'm not every day for 28 years, wake up and go, God, I'm still here. Oh my God, I have another day. Does it mean everything works for me? Nope. But you know what's different? In the old days, if it didn't work, I would make it work.
Hmm.
I would put a lot of effort and struggle. I'm going to make it. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do it. I realize now, for people who don't understand this, let's just back up 1 second and then make sense. And that is this. You've been programmed. Everybody's been programmed. I say, do you know what your programs are? Most of the time, absolutely not. I say, well, how could you not know your program? I say, when did you get your program? Okay, you were being programmed 3 months before you were born. What program did you download 3 months before you were born? I have no idea. I go, no, you don't. You weren't there. You were programmed a whole year from 0 to 1, a whole year of programming. Tell me the programs you got when you were 0 or up to 1. I don't know. I wasn't there, right? How about another whole year from 1 to 2? Tell me the programs you downloaded at 1.5 years age. Tell me the program you downloaded 2. I don't know what those programs are. And then about 3, when you get toward 3, memories can start to come in because you start to record some of these memories now. Then you say, oh, yeah, I remember this happened and that happened. I say, yeah, but tell me the programs you got in the first 3 years. They're the most fundamental programs that shape your life. And you go, I have no idea what those programs are. Why I wasn't conscious. Now I'm going to give you the answer of how you know what the programs are. And the answer is this, because I already said it. 95% of your life is being controlled by the subconscious programs. And I go, oh, then what? Your life is a printout of your programs. And I say, you want to know what your programs are? All you have to do is look at your life right now and recognize this. Things you like that come into your life, they didn't come in by accident. They came in because you have a program to acknowledge those things. But the ones that you want to pay attention to are the things that you wish and desire, but you struggle to get them. I'm working on it. I'm working hard. I'm sweating over it. I'm putting a lot of effort into it. You don't realize something. I say, what? Why are you struggling to get to that destination? And the answer, your program doesn't support that destination. And you're trying to override the program with will. It just doesn't work because the subconscious mind working 95% of your day, and the processor of the subconscious is a million times more powerful than the conscious mind, the one with wishes and desires, your personal identity mind. So I said, well, in a competition, the conscious mind got this much control, and the subconscious mind's got that much control. Go back to the monkey wrench. You are playing your programs that are dysfunctional without you seeing these programs. What you see is the result of the program. That's why I say, look at your life. The results are right there. And I go, the significance is for people, then this is where they lost their power big time. I say, why? Well, I wanted to be successful, or I wanted to be healthy, and it's not happening. And I say, why not? And then you say, well, those people and that and this and that, they all interfered with me. They caused me. I go, well, this is where you got to turn it around, folks. You were creating your life through what was coming from your subconscious. Did you see this creation? No. Why not? Because when you're thinking, you don't even observe your own behavior, but everybody else does. So here I am trying to make relationship with my conscious mind. Oh, it would be so great to have this relationship. And yet my subconscious mind, which I wasn't seeing because it played when I wasn't paying attention, was sabotaging me. And I'm not finding a relationship. Now I'm struggling. Now I'm trying to find out why. Oh, that person got interference and this. Why did I go? That was the old belief. Now it turns around and goes, oh my God, my program doesn't support that wish. And therefore I cannot manifest that wish because it's not supported by my creative mind. And this is important. If I could just close out with one thing I've talked about, maybe even before here, talked about, you have a friend, you know your friend's behavior, you happen to know your friend's parent. One day you see your friend has the same behavior as the parent, and then you got to volunteer it. Just you got to go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. Back away from Bill. I can tell you what Bill's going to say. You already know what Bill's going to say. You already heard it. He's going to say, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And the point about it is, well, everybody else in the world sees you are. You're the only one who doesn't see it. Why? Because why are you playing your dad's program? Because you're not paying attention. But everybody else sees that program. And now conclude that little story with this one liner. We are all Bill. Every day we're doing what Bill does. And when you understand that, then there's a wake-up call and says, well, then damn it, I got to change the program. Because the moment you change the program is the moment you get your power back. And
I love it.
That's the main thing.
I love it. So you spoke a lot about programs, and I listen to your content all the time, right? And I've listened to you talk about Richard Kahn Henry, which was an astrophysicist from Johns Hopkins that wrote the journal article on the nature of the universe and it being a mind. And then I've also recently listened to your video on hermeticism, which I find so fascinating.
That came out a few days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. The 7 laws of hermeticism. How can we, and I know we're coming up on time, but like really quick, like how can we know, right, or understanding that we're living our life is a printout, and because of this universe is mind essentially, and the 7 laws of hermeticism, how can we change the programs using those laws?
Okay, well, let's put it this way. You can change the program. There are 3 ways to change the programs. Okay, 2 of those ways are the ways we got the program. So I said, well, how did you get the program? I said, the first 7 years, your brain was not in the higher vibration of consciousness. It's in theta. So I say, after you fall asleep. The moment you fall asleep, the next activity of your brain is theta. It's below consciousness. Consciousness disconnects, that's sleeping. But the brain is still functioning after you fell asleep, and the next lower vibration in the brain below consciousness is theta, is hypnosis. So I say, so when you go to bed at night, the moment you disconnected and you're out, now you're sleeping, there's a period of time where your brain is still in theta, which is hypnosis record. So if you put earbuds on or earphones on, and the moment you fall asleep and you have a program playing, a a support program, a self-help program, something you want, programs how to get healthy, programs how to make more money, relationship programs, whatever. You put those earbuds on as you're going to sleep. You might hear the beginning of whatever program is coming out, but the moment you fall asleep, your brain drops to the next level of consciousness. Alpha, the low consciousness vibration, is now disconnected. You're not there anymore. You're now, your consciousness is off in space right now. Okay. Then I say, then what? I say, yeah, but the moment you fall asleep, you still have a period where the brain is functioning at a lower vibration of consciousness. That's the theta one. It's not a long period of time, so you have to repeat the process of what is called self-hypnosis. Earphones, earbuds, transmitting a story into your subconscious while you're sleeping. I like that part. I said, well, how much effort do I have to put into this? I go to sleep. That's all you have to do, because when you're sleeping, the subconscious is now going to be recording for a period of time. So number one is self-hypnosis. Yeah, but you downloaded programs after age 7. You learned how to drive a car. You may have learned how to play a music instrument or done some kind of behavior that you learned. I say, how'd you get the program after age 7? Repetition. You made a habit by repeating something. Practice, repeat. You want to change your life? Then practice a different life. Practice it, repeat it. Why? The more you repeat it, the more it turns into a habit. And the relevance is, once it's a habit, you don't have to think about it, because now it's a hard drive program after that, ever the same. You learn how to drive a car once, you don't have to relearn how to drive a car again. You learn how to play that instrument once you learn, you don't have to do it again. So I usually talk about that new age thing that makes me used to be so humorous, but I repeat it so many times, it's not funny anymore. But it's called fake it till you make it. I go, what's that mean? You're not a happy person. Let's just say you're struggling through life. It's not happy. You're not happy, but you want to be happy. So I said, what do? As many times during the day as you can, you say to yourself, I am happy. I am happy. As many times as you can. I go, what's the relevance? Repetition. The practice of repeating it over and over again is habituation, which makes habits, which are subconscious programs. That's what habits are, subconscious programs. So the first one, self-hypnosis. The second one is repetition practice. And there's a third way, and I refer to it as the version of necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention. I say, what's that mean? I say, we're facing an evolutionary upheaval on this planet. That's where the chaos is coming from right now. It says the way we're living is not sustainable, which it isn't. And to survive, then humans have to completely change the way we're living on this planet, because we are destroying the environment, trying to keep ourselves alive using programs that are not accurate. Okay. And as a result, we're changing the ecosystem, and we're fighting with each other and all kinds of BS belief system that is messing with us. Okay. So I say, well, then what can we do about it? I say, well, change the program. I say, yeah, first 2 ways are natural, but they take time. Both self-hypnosis, habituation, are time. We're running out of time very fast. We have to make changes very fast, because the world is changing right under your feet right now. I mean, surf the web, watch the news, look out your window, places in chaos, man. I said, this is nothing wrong. The chaos is necessary because the system we're in is self-destructive. That the way out, we create a new system. Well, you create a new system by getting out of the old system. So the old system, the one we're in, is collapsing. That's where the chaos comes from right now. And I say, so what did Mother Nature do to help us? Well, she gave us the opportunity to have super learning. The opportunity. I said, what was that? I said, a child under 7 is a super learner. I go, why? They can just experience something just one time and they'll have it in the memory the rest of their whole life right at that moment. After age 7, trying to put new ideas into the minds is a lot more difficult. And then we run into a problem. Now it's not easy to program after age 7. I say, so what? Why was it easy before? There's a line down the middle of the brain. If you've ever seen the brain, there's a line right down the middle. When they call each half, they call them hemispheres. The left side has different functions than the right side of the brain. Left side is intellectual, right side is emotional. When a child is under 7, both right and left are integrated. So every behavior that a child experiences has a intellectual aspect of that behavior and an emotional component of that behavior. Well, that's how it gets downloaded super fast because both hemispheres are working on it. After age 7, they're not physically separated, they're functionally separated. You're not in both hemispheres at the same time. You're in the left side during the day, you could be intellectual for a couple hours or more, and then you switch over. Now you're more emotional for a few hours, then you're more intellectual. It's a wave. Emotion, intellect, emotion, intellect. You're not together anymore. But if I can put them together, I can return back to the super learning state that I was as a child. So there are processes by which you can integrate in right left hemisphere. I'll just give you a simple one. My right hand is controlled by my left hemisphere, the opposite side. Okay. My left hand is controlled by my right hemisphere. Okay. So let's say I'm in my right hand right now and I'm moving it out here. All this movement is controlled by my left hemisphere. But if I take my hand and cross through the midline, so now my right hand is on the left side of my body, its action now gets picked up on the other side as well. So when I cross my arms or cross my ankles, then what I'm doing is causing both hemispheres to act simultaneously. And I say, oh, that's called super learning. And in that super learning moment, when you get the brain to have both hemispheres integrate like this, which takes a minute or two after you start crossing your arms and legs, once it's in that whole brain, they call it, then you become a super learner. And you can change a program by installing a new program. And the idea is, how long does it take? Minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. You walk away after using one of these super learning exercises, 15 minutes away, a whole new program that you haven't had your whole life now showing up. I go, yep, I did 2 of those balances to fix my issues in life, and my whole life radically transformed because I programmed my wishes and desires of my creative mind as hard drive programs in my subconscious. So my wishes and desires, me manually controlling them 5% of the day. But now the wishes and desires that are programs in my subconscious mind, 95% of the day. And once you make life a habit with wishes and desires, then your life is a manifestation of wishes and desires. And this is how I had a life that was successful at some parts before, before I learned this, unsuccessful at other parts, like the relationship stuff. Okay. Once I changed the program, the whole thing's been fulfilled. I live in heaven all the time. And I'm also not afraid of death because when you understand the new biology, you recognize you're an energy field playing through a device called the body. And when the body dies, the energy field's still there. Analogy, this is a television set. You're looking at this Bruce television program, but the program for Bruce is not in it. It's an energy field that I'm receiving, okay? And then playing through this, okay? So we call the energy field because field definition, field, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. I go, and spirit, oh, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. And that's why quantum physics today reveals that it's our consciousness and our spirit that is controlling the character of our lives, okay? The consciousness part is the program part. The spirit part is the wishes and desires part. So the relevance about all that comes down to recognizing this, is that we have been programmed not to pay attention to the feelings, the vibrations. Our program doesn't give us our power. We feel we are victims. And I say we are made to be victims. So we give up our power to those organizations that make money from us perceiving we are victims. Healthcare, media, government, all that BS stuff out there.
Mhm.
And the point about it is this: we are powerful creators, except you're not using your creative mind except 5% of the time. And if you want your creative mind to work 95% of the time, there's two things to do: stop thinking or rewrite the program. And I say, falling in love was the time you stopped thinking. And I said, what was the result? Honeymoon. What's a honeymoon? Heaven on earth. Is it there? It's always there. But the moment you start thinking, your program doesn't let you go there, because once you start thinking, the program takes over. That's when 60% or more of what we download is now sabotaging us without us seeing it. We become the victim of the world, when in fact we were the absolute creator. And this is the fact of quantum physics, the most valid science on this planet. Says principle number one: the mind is the creator of our life experiences. That is the first principle and the most valid science. So when are we going to use it? And I go, when the public becomes aware of it. But right now, the forces that control us do not want you to become aware of it, because they control you if you're not aware of it.
Mhm.
Because if you become aware of it, then you're no longer restricted by negative beliefs that we downloaded.
Bruce, thank you for bringing a little bit of your heaven, piece of heaven, into this show. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. We
I
have
want to appreciate that. I want to appreciate the audience that we have, though, because each of those people in our audience is a cultural creative, because they're watching your program, Trey. They're looking for, give me some answers, because they're not working. The ones I have aren't working right now. I want answers, and you offer that. So then I have to honor you for being what? A voice, an outlet, a source of knowledge to take us from this collapsing chaos and put us into, can I have a honeymoon? Yes, every day of your life. It's always been available. It's only your subconscious program that shuttled it off to the side and then made you play things that are not supporting you.
100%. We're gonna have to do this again for
I
sure.
love doing it with you because you let me talk.
I love it.